Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy
Mm,
Monday.
Good morning.
We're so glad you're here. Normally you see Wendy on here, our owner in Colorado, but she is in New York enjoying her son's graduation. So today you have me, I'm Marnie. I'm the office manager in the California location. And then we have Farhana here, who is our marketing manager. She does all the behind the scenes good stuff. So thank you for being here today. If you guys don't mind, go ahead and just type in your city and state where you guys are logging in from so we can see where everyone's coming in today. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Oh, cool. Katie's here from Chicago. That's awesome. Fun, fun. Kashmir. Hi, Kashmir. And Laura. Hi, Laura from Los Gatos. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. You guys can also use the chat. If you guys have any questions during this webinar, please use the chat. Otherwise, you could hold all your questions to the end. We're going to do a little Q&A at the end too, if time permits, but we'll be sure to get all the questions answered. So today we're excited to welcome back Steve. He is our business coach. This is part 3 of his series. This session, we're focused on financial fitness. So not just growing your business, but actually improving your profitability. Steve has helped spas and estheticians across the country become more financially confident and organized, and we're lucky to have him here today. So welcome back, Steve.
Thank you so much for that, Marnie. That is
Yeah.
amazing. I want your energy on a Monday, that's for sure.
Woohoo!
My energy is in my good morning little thing here. Good morning, everybody.
Yes.
I love it. So let me get my sip and let me get started. First of all, welcoming all of you. I'm so excited to have everybody here with me this morning and anybody that's going to watch this recording. Anytime we have a Kashmir with us, it's awesome. Love that. Welcome. Los Gatos Concord in the house. But more importantly, Katie. All right, Katie, I'm from the south side of Chicago originally. I'm from Bridgeport. So I want to hear where you're from. Type it in for me and let me know. And I better see White Sox on there, not Cubs. Ha ha ha. Anyways, please let me know. I'd love to know what neighborhood you're from. I miss my city. Uh, West Loop, definitely Sox fan, just like the new Pope. He is a White Sox fan. All is well and right in the world. Anyways, it's always good to have somebody from where I started. I love training there and I love meeting anybody from my hometown. Although I am a Californian, I did come out here for work, but I met a girl and I've been out here 24 years, just kind of how it works. You guys, I'm really pumped up to uh, have this conversation with you guys today because this was a conversation that was not near and dear to this coach's heart when I ran my first business. I ran my first business into the ground because of what I did not know. And for me, my biggest issue was I never really got past algebra in high school. I wasn't a numbers guy. I avoided it like the plague. My idea of profit was as long as the bills are paid and we got a full book tomorrow, and I got some money in the bank, I'm profitable. Let's go shopping and let's go out to the steak dinners. Let's go out to the clubs. Let's go out and have fun. That was how I ran my business. I got audited and, way back in those days, we weren't as automated as we are now. So we didn't really take a lot of credit cards. And in fact, if we did, it was the old fashioned way. We'd take the pen on the piece of paper and we'd rub it to get the credit card information. Like it was way old school back when I ran my first company. So we were mainly a cash and check business back in those days. So when the IRS came in and they looked at my data, they looked at the bank statements and sales receipts and, they were like, whoa, this cash discrepancy, because what were we really doing way back in the day, a lot more than today, was we'd get the cash, especially the tips, it'd go in the pocket and we weren't managing it. I wasn't managing it. Most of us don't learn in cause school how to manage it. And they went 5 years back on me. I owed them 80 grand I didn't have. That led to bankruptcy, divorce, lost my home, was couch surfing at my mom and my brother's house again after 8 years of hard work. And it was at that time that when I was in a really low moment, but not wanting to give up, that I realized that I needed to get help. And a friend of mine who ran a spa out in Omaha was working with this coach, told me about her. I end up hiring the coach. Now, the only way I could hire the coach was I had to go to the bank of mom. And I think we've all hit that bank up at some point in our life. And Katie will know what I'm about to say, but my family comes from a big pizza business. My family launched what I believe to be the best pizza business in Chicago, Connie's Pizza. And I worked for my uncle for a long time, but I was entrepreneurial and I wanted to be in our industry because we also ran the family shop on the hair and spa side. So my mom was like, just come back to the pizza business, just give up on this. And I didn't want to give up on it. So my mom was like, okay, here's one last loan. You either figure it out or back to the restaurants you come. And I took the money and I started working with my coach. And you guys, what I was there for was to get financially organized. I realized I was a mess. I realized there was things I didn't know. So I was there for that. But the biggest thing that I was there for, which I'm about to shift for you guys in this hour, was my perception around finance and math and money was dictating the actions I was taking and not taking that was having me get the results I was getting and not getting. So my coach helped me realize that I was smart enough to shift my thinking and then do the work. See, I was doing everything backwards. I didn't think I understood it. So I was like, okay, I don't know how to manage this stuff. So I'm just going to make so much money that I won't have to worry about it. Really erroneous thinking. So I developed a hell of a work ethic. I was the first person there. I was the last one to leave. I hustled. I still have that same work ethic in me today. But it was all for me to cover up what I felt I was deficient in. So when my coach helped me realize I was smart enough to understand this subject matter, I took off. Not only did I learn it, but I implemented it and I rebuilt my business from the ground up, paid off all the debt, rebuilt the credit, rebuilt the company, sold it for a profit. That company that coached me offered me a chance to join them. Out to California, I came, like I said, and I've been coaching salons and spas now for 32 years. I've coached over 750 and counting. And little did I know that I was going to become a two-time author in the process. Little did I know I was going to travel all over the world as an educator. Uh, and I've been to Moscow, Russia. I've been to Dublin, Ireland. I've been all over Italy. I've been all over Central and South America. I've been to every state but two. And none of this was in my path originally. So what's great about our industry is when we get our stuff together, I almost said another word, but when we get our stuff together and we get organized and we work foundationally from the inside out, we create way more abundance than we ever thought was possible. And in this day and age, with so many distractions outside of the four walls of your clinic or your spa, to get sucked into economic stuff, political stuff, what's going on here, there, everywhere. There's so much distraction. My biggest commitment to all of you today and to anybody I coach, to any training I do, is to remind you that that stuff is important to keep tabs on. But what's most important is that you focus on your four walls and you focus on what you're doing in it. You focus on strengthening it systematically, operationally, financially. You fine tune you, which means you fine tune your message, which means you fine tune your brand, which is what we taught in our last webinar. And when you fine tune that brand, you become more attractive. And the more attractive your business becomes, the more people you get coming your way and the right-hearted and like-minded people you get coming your way. And that drives retention and that creates abundance. It is not about how many facials and waxes can I do today to make a buck. It's about how can I organize my business to understand what the business needs to create solvency for itself and who I need to be and where I need to spend time giving the business attention. And that's what I'm going to provide for you guys today. So I'm going to share my screen now and I'm going to get into my PowerPoint presentation for all y'all. Let me pull this up and get that on the screen. Okay, now, let me just see. Can you guys, maybe you can't see this yet, so let me escape it. And then let me come back to my little Zoom thing here. Share screen, share that. There we go. Okay. Let me go back one screen here. All right. So I'm going to be teaching from my financial fitness book. Marnie or Farhana, can you see that on the screen? I just want to verify.
Yes, we're good.
Muchas gracias. Okay. So we want to fill up your bank account. And we want to fill up your bank account so that you're not just working hard to make a buck to pay a bill to get by. So we want to have you create a very clear pathway to become abundant financially. So it starts with your ability to get organized. One of the biggest things that I see as a coach when I engage any business that's interested in talking to me about what I can provide for them is the lack of financial organization we truly have in our industry. We're pretty rudimentary in how we track things. We don't usually spend a lot of time. We're not reflective. We're usually emotional about this. We're usually trying to get to it when we can, as opposed to really carving out time. So I'm going to make a case for the steps you need to take to get organized. Now, as I go through this subject matter, here's what would help me, you guys. Any question that pops into your heart and mind, just write it down. And at the end, we'll circle back around. What I'm going to do is talk about the key areas that you need to get organized in. I'm going to break down your perception around it. And then I'm going to dig into one area, just one area in your key performance financial indicators. I'm going to get into retail inventory and back bar inventory. And I'm going to really isolate those two and really walk you through different things that you can do to manage them more powerfully. When we look at getting organized financially, it starts though with how you think and relate to it. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to look at the image I'm about to put on the screen and I want you to type in the first thing you feel or think. Okay? So type it in, first thing that comes up for you when you see something like that. All right, start typing. I'm going to go into the chat box myself and see what you guys are about to give me. Okay. I'm awaiting. Budget. Thank you, Laura. My first person in. Keep it coming, guys. What's the first thing you feel when you see something like this? What's the feeling? Organized. Awesome. Spreadsheets. Love. Okay, you're very rare. You're hired. I love it. What else? Anybody else out there? All right, come on, Rochelle. Hook me up. Overwhelmed. Thank you. Okay, so why I'm getting you present to this is because typically when we get into these conversations and when we begin to look at becoming financially organized, we're not present to how we relate to it. We just go in and just try to navigate it. So if we feel overwhelmed, imagine how the learning process is going to go. That's not going to be fun. Now, if you love spreadsheets, then you're going to be more curious, more excited, more inquisitive. If you dig organization, then you're going to want to know what this is and how you could apply it to your business. So where I like to start you guys with any type of education that I provide is having you get present to how you relate to the information or the subject matter. Because the subject matter, while it's important, it's not the subject matter's fault if you feel overwhelmed about it, right? It's not the spreadsheet's fault. The spreadsheet's there to help you unlock creative ingenuity, get organized, and really move the dial in managing your business. However, if you relate to it in a way that is fear-based or overwhelming, then you're bringing that perception to the table. So what I want to dispel and empower you with at the same time is for the rest of your career and really life, when it comes to any new subject matter or improving what you know about subject matter, check in with how you feel and how you relate to it. And if it's a disempowering thought process, shift out of that so that you are empowered in the journey. With that as our perspective, let me get rid of the chat box. There we go. Let's get into organization itself. So on the screen here, there's four real significant areas that I see that we're not organized as an industry. First of all, it starts with how you're managing your books, then leveraging technology, then the ability for you to block out time on a weekly basis to reflect and give your business the attention it deserves. And then on an ongoing basis, really set up the mechanisms to track so that you become more data driven and you begin to look at the empirical data and what it's telling you. So let's get into these areas a little bit more in depth. Now, I do want you to type in for me, and then I'll take a look. If you are a solo esthetician, I want you to type that and just use the word solo. If you have a team and how many people that work with you, say team and then the number. I'd like to know that as I get started teaching this. It's just context for me that's critical in how I want to language some things here. So let me come back to my chat. Okay. Hey, solo, and Laura's got 3. Okay, very good. All right. Team, you got 2 SDs and 4 injectors. Thank you very much. Hey, check out I got my 3rd round of my PRP injections. How am I looking, yo? Well, maybe I should show you the before. Anyways, so let's talk about our relationship with the accountant first and foremost. Some of us think we don't need one until we grow a business and we have 3 people or 2 SDs and 4 injectors. But I'm going to make the case no matter what size business, you need to have an accountant or bookkeeper. And it's one thing to say you have one, but you need to have an empowered relationship with them. And you need to bring them up to speed and educate them on our type of industry, because it's not their responsibility to understand our industry as much as it's your responsibility to enlighten them on the nature of what type of industry we actually are. See, most of them aren't going to realize that what makes our business and our industry unique is that we are multiple businesses under one roof. We are a service business, such as waxes, facials, injections, those types of things, right? And that business, your services by themselves, sorry about that, has a separate budget with separate expenses attached to it, has a separate marketing apparatus to build it, has separate systems to operate it. You also have a retail business, which has a separate budget, separate expenses, separate marketing, everything's completely separate. You might have packages or memberships. So that is a critical piece of your puzzle as well. So you might be a rental business, separate budgets, separate systems, separate contracts. So what I want you to realize from a financially organized perspective is that in your profit and loss statement and in your financial tracking, you need to separate all your different income streams, your separate businesses out, so that you can begin to track and isolate them and look at them separately. Typically, when I get my hands on a profit and loss statement, it just says income at the top. Everything's lumped into one line, nothing's separated out. So we have no idea to really isolate and look at how all the different business and income streams are really doing. There's no way then we can create realistic budgets and goals that will help us really elevate and really take our business to the next level. Everything's just thrown in and lumped in together. The same thing with inventory, which I'm going to start separating out for you guys in just a bit. When it comes to inventory, typically on a profit and loss statement, I see one line called cost of goods sold, or it just says inventory, or it just says goods, whatever languaging your P&L system have. Now, if you have a profit and loss statement, all of you should. And if not, time to go out there and get QuickBooks. But typically I see inventory or cost of goods instead of retail inventory and back bar inventory, because they're separate. They're separate expenses tied to separate business apparatuses in your business. Your back bar is budgeted based on your services. Your retail inventory budgeted based on your retail sales. So the more we can separate everything out, and make it more specific to our type of business model, the better prepared we're going to be to isolate, look at, analyze, and make specific decisions to help those parts of our business grow. It's what I love doing as a coach, why I spend my time facilitating these conversations. It's why I've written my books on the subject matter. It's why I've got all the spreadsheets and everything attached to it to really help you get organized so that you can look at your different income streams and the expenses attached to them. You can improve where you need so that more money is dropping to the bottom line. So, why is the accountant so important? And why am I taking good quality time to talk about this? Is because even if you're a solo, a lot of solo SDs that I talk to are like, well, it's just me. Even bigger reason why you need to have a bookkeeper at the least. Spend $150, $250 a month to get a bookkeeper. And here's where your thinking needs to go. Oh, well, I can't afford another $250 a month. Close your business then. That's not entrepreneurial thinking. You always need to be growth minded. And growth minded means investing in the foundational systems that your business needs so that you can grow. So let's say you go out and get a bookkeeper, and I'll tell you why you need one. But let me just do the math for you. I got my trusty little calculator here. Let's say you find a bookkeeper, it's $250 a month. Now, expense driven thinking is, I can't afford it. So then you don't do it. Growth minded thinking is, I need to do this because I don't need to be doing the books myself late at night on a Wednesday night or on a weekend on a Sunday or Monday when I should have time off to have balance in life. Now I'm doing my books and I'm exhausted, so I'm not really present to it. Okay. So that's why we need to be doing that. I would rather you divert 3 hours of your time and attention from doing data entry to have that 3 hours of time and attention to analyzing that data and making decisions to grow your business based on it. That's why you need to be working with an accountant or a bookkeeper. And we need to be educating them so they understand what type of business we're in, so that they're not just giving us information that's not organized to our business model. So let's go back to that point I was making. $250 for the bookkeeper divided into 4 weeks is $62.50. If you work 4 days a week, it's $15.63 a day that you need to grow your sales by to pay for the bookkeeper. And if you're seeing 4 guests a day, it's 1563 divided into 4 guests, $3.91. So not a big deal. We can definitely afford it. What I just taught you is how to rev up your income producing engines so that you're responsible through sales growth to invest in your business, as opposed to thinking you can't afford something and not giving your business the attention that it needs or the systematic approach that it needs. So make the investment, get the bookkeeper, right? And then bring them in and teach them, right? I'll recommend to all of you get my book and get all my spreadsheets because everything is industry specific. You saw a taste of one a moment ago. If I go backwards to that spreadsheet, let me see if I can go backwards here. Okay, there we go. If you even look at this, this is 2/3 of my cash flow analysis spreadsheet, everybody. And look at the income on the left at the top and look at the separation. All the different income streams are separated out. I like to look at what are we averaging monthly. And when you plug that into my spreadsheet, the minute you plug anything into that orange line, the monthly line that you see kind of in the middle of the screen, everything else, all those other columns light up. All the numbers immediately populate. So it shows you if I continue to do X amount in services monthly, this is what I'll be doing annually, weekly, daily as a percentage and per technician. And if you look at those variable expenses, notice I've got payroll for service providers, team bonus and retail, payroll taxes on that. There's that retail inventory I was talking about, separated from salon and spa supplies and back bar, everything separated out. So the more organized we become in our tracking for our type of business model, the better, so that you're getting real data in front of you so that you can be pivoting based on what the data is telling you and also based on where you feel you want to take your culture. So there's an intersection of both coming together. If you're looking at me on the screen, putting my hands together, there's where you want to go to grow your culture and take your brand to the next level, married with your data telling you what the business needs. Because data is the business talking to you. Data is the business saying, here's where we're strong, but we could accentuate it more. Data is your business saying, here's where we need to batten down the hatches. Uh-oh. We got to bail over here. We got to plug this hole up. We're sinking in this area of our business. Help, help, help. But if the data is not organized, like an example of what you see on the screen, and you're not taking the time to look at it, then we're managing based on emotion. And then when something happens, then we're reacting to it as opposed to see it coming and being proactive about it. That's the power of having the data. So go invest in an accountant or bookkeeper. And if the accountant is not going to get you the information that you need on a timely manner, find another one, because you need to get this data every month. This isn't just a tax time conversation once a year. Let me get my P&L. I hope it's in the black, not the red at the bottom. What you need to be doing is getting this data every single month and taking it and plugging it into my spreadsheet that I'm sharing with you here, and then begin to look at how your business is managing itself month in and month out so that you have a better handle on the direction that your business is going. Now, software, which is my next point, is dialing into the right type of technology that's going to support you to get information quicker, faster. So, having the right type of spa software is very, very important for you. To me, if we're just using things like Square, or something like that, it's not as industry specific as we need it to. So, definitely be looking for some software. You can email me if you want. I'll give you my email address at the end, and I'll make a recommendation to you of who I think would be beneficial for you. If you know you need to step up in getting the right point of sale system that integrates into your QuickBooks tracking, that gives you all of your inventory apparatus and helps you market your business and is industry specific. Now, the next point I'm going to make is that blocking out time. Most of us get to running our business related work, like I said earlier, late at night after a long day in the treatment room, or on the weekends, on Sundays and Mondays when we should actually have days off, but now we're doing all that stuff. And typically business related stuff is catch up. It's you catching up to get the business clean, doing supply runs, paying bills, answering emails. You're not blocking out time to reflect and think and rise above and have a bigger view of your playing field and what's going on in it and how can we get better. Most of us are living week by week by week, some of us day by day, and we're not taking the time to be future based and to think ahead out into our future. And that's what I do as a coach. I help you over time to be at least 1 year ahead of where your business is today in your thinking and planning so that you can guide yourself, or if you have a team, right? Some of you have a team, so you can guide them. Because those of you that have a team, or my solos on, maybe you want to grow and expand and go brick and mortar one day and have a team. You are responsible for those people's livelihoods. They're trusting you. They're putting their career in your hands. And I say in the most empowered way, how dare us not spend the time to really cultivate the business, and organize it and grow them so that they get the very best from us for them trusting us to guide them. So you've got to carve out time. So that means through strategic price increase, through increasing relevant add-on treatments and relevant add-on retail recommendations, that you're growing your top line cash flow so that you then can take at least 1 day less if you have a team, or a half day if you're a solo, and then you're working on your business during business time as opposed to just trying to get to it when you can. But see, here's what happens. Unless I'm coaching you, and then you got no choice with me. But typically when you start growing your sales, so then you can get time back, then you just like the sales growth because you're making more money and you don't want to scale back because, again, 100 are thinking, well, if I then cut half a day and I don't do those 3 clients that are paying me $100 a guest, then I'm losing $300, as opposed to realizing that you grew by $300. So then you can go and take that half day. And yes, you're going to go down in volume by $300, but you're going to go right back to where you were today in volume. But now you have the time. And by giving your business the time and by looking at where you are and where you want to go, you're going to be planning to make thousands and thousands of dollars in the future by giving your business the attention it needs. The moment you chose to be a business owner, whether you work in your own suite, studio, or you have a team like some of you do, it was about your dream when you opened those doors. But the minute you stepped in it, the most important guest you have, and don't ever forget me saying this, is the business itself. And it constantly needs your attention. It's like the chick in the nest saying, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me, you guys. So we've got to get organized, and we have to begin to give the business the attention that it deserves. In my financial fitness book, I have a spreadsheet I created called How to Replace a Day. And literally, you plug in your sales information and some of your expenses that are attached to sales growth, like payroll and back bar and credit card processing fees, things like that. And it shows you how much you need to grow your average ticket by in order for you to replace a day based on your numbers, so that you're still making the same money, but now you got time back. Your business needs your attention, big time. Now, the last bullet you see on the screen there, everybody, is tracking. Once we get everything organized, then we take a sip of water. Once we get everything organized, then we have to continually look at how we're performing. So, what did I do? I got financially organized. I've separated out my service sales from my retail sales, from my gift card sales. Now I'm going to start looking at it every month and see how I'm performing. How am I doing this month versus where I was last month? How did I do in April of this year versus April of last year? We're halfway through May. How's it going? Who's kicking butt? Who's not? Why? What treatments are we really saying we want to isolate and do better at? And are we? What's the missing that if we added it would make it better? And notice my urgency around it, yet also notice in my energy, everybody, there's no like, oh my God, we're not doing good. Oh, what should we do? You know, big L. Oh, look at me. Mm-mm-mm. No, no, no. Your business doesn't care how you feel. Your business needs you to always be analyzing it and looking to get better. So if there's an area that's not working the way you want it to, you can either have that be an indictment on yourself as to why you're not good enough, which to me is wasting precious time and energy. And it's our humanity. We do it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's human, but I don't want you to stay there. If something's not working, don't beat yourself up over it. If something's not working, spend the time looking at why and then focusing on pivoting. That's where we need to be in our thinking. Not, oh, woe is me. Oh my gosh, I wish it was better. I wish I would have done that. Your business has no time for you to be feeling regret or remorse. Your business needs you to be attacking, 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 attacking constantly. What's the missing? What's the lesson? What's the missing? What's the lesson? What are we doing different? What are we doing different? What are we doing different? Relentlessly, over and over and over again. It's funny when I coach people and they tell me how tired they get because they're struggling to find new people to work for them. Or, you know, I'm having a tough time getting new clients. I've tried everything. It's so hard. So the minute you start saying something's hard, you just created a world that's hard. So like I said earlier at the beginning, everybody, you need to shift your thinking and be present to how you relate to things. And you need to be relentless. You chose to open a business, and this is what it feels like. And I don't care if pre-COVID, it was 1 out of 10 to find a good new hire to work with you. And now it's 1 out of 40, because that's kind of the way it is nowadays. That's just the way it goes. So you got to up that patient quotient. You got to be more patient. You got to be more focused. You got to be data driven. You got to give your business attention. You got to be unflappable and unstoppable, because this is your life. This is your dream. This is what you said you wanted. So let's get after this and let's get growing. So if you're fired up by what I'm saying, I want to see in the chat box that this is making sense before I pivot and spend my next 15 minutes on retail inventory and back bar. Give me a yes. Give me a thank goodness I'm here. Give me a preach. Give me an OMG. whatever you want, you guys. I want to see that chat room building up for me. Come on now. I'm working hard for you today. 100%. Thank you, Katie. OMG, yes. Yay. Awesome. Thanks, guys. There we go. Thank you, Marnie. I love that. I love little icons. Very cool. Let me have a sip of my coffee and let's keep going. Okay. And think how many owners need to be in these conversations. So if you guys know anybody in your circle of influence out there in your network, make sure they get to this recording, because this will be put out. I think, I don't know, Marnie and Farhana will tell us at the end when this is available. But I think this recording becomes available pretty quickly, and you guys can come back and listen to it again. But please spread the word. We're here to help. We need to change thinking, and we need to get more systematic, and we need to keep kicking ass. Yes, there's uncertainty out there, and there's all these things that are happening around us. But we have to focus on what we can control, and we need to keep growing, and we need to be reminding every guest that comes into our business that we are the safe harbor in the storm for them, that we are the place for them to let go, to feel great, to do something healthy, to redirect their fears and their anxieties into taking care of themselves. That's why we exist. We heal and we help people. And that's why who you are in this day and age is more important than ever. And that is your brand messaging should be delivered. If you've listened to all three of my webinars, you've heard me say that every single time. I'll be in Orlando 2 weekends from now at the premiere show. I'll be doing six classes. And I'll be in front of the Beacon students as I get honored to do out there. And I will be saying the same thing like a broken freaking record every single time, because we need to pivot. We need to grow. We need to focus. We need to be data driven, and we need to keep growing and expanding. Now let's dig into a critical key area in the business, and that's retail inventory. So what is retail? You guys, typically, I don't put paragraphs on PowerPoint slides. But in this instance, I'm going to. This is a slide from my financial fitness workshop, and it's actually the opening sentences of my retail chapter of my financial fitness book. And I want to put this in here because I want us to get context before we get into content. So what is retail really? Retail embodies the whole clinic and spa experience. It ties together quality products that enhance the client's experience with you. It's equal parts product selection, education, service, merchandising, selling, and management. If your services are the heartbeat of your business, retail is the pulse. It strengthens the values and visions of your business, and it's a clear reminder to your client why you are important to them. This is what retail is. Take a picture of it, screenshot it, come back and watch it again. But the key thing I want us to focus on is the third sentence of the first paragraph, the last sentence of the first paragraph. From an organizational behind the scenes point of view, get why you need to be carving out time on the weekly to give your business attention. Because just your retail apparatus yourself is equal parts product selection, education, service, merchandising, selling, and management. All of those things need to be systematized, organized, need attention, focus, diligence, follow through, investigation, collaboration, right? Well, who can you collaborate with? A coach like me, your friend, our great friends at Alexander's Aesthetics. Those of you that have a team, if they're not involved in helping you look at what's going on, and if you're trying to figure it all out yourself, we need to shift that. Like, all right, one of you has 2 Estes plus you and 4 injectors, that's 7 people. Plus, for example, somebody like me and one of our friends like Farhana from Alexander's Aesthetics. Imagine all of us looking at your retail apparatus together and collaborating together. I'd rather have 7 hearts and minds looking at something instead of 1. So let's break this down. What you're seeing here is your budget percentages and your retail inventory apparatus. And this is a cutout of one of my retail spreadsheets, my retail profit calculator from my book. And it's showing you the 4 expenses that are attached to your retail business. Your your average retail inventory percentage. This is the amount of money you're spending to restock the shelves with your retail products, not your back bar, your retail products. Then what's another expense that's directly tied to my retail business, the retail sales I'm bringing in, commission that I pay myself, my solos, you should be paying yourself and saving that. All right. And then for those of you that have brick and mortar and have team members, you don't have to pay commission, but most of us do. I see sliding scales. I see 5%, 10%, 15. I don't really want to see higher than 10%. And you'll see at the bottom why. But then if I am paying commission, I got to pay payroll tax as a business on that. So you see that percentage, 1.2% average nationwide. Some of you that live in California, we're the highest payroll tax state in the union. Ours is around 1.4. So, you just got to look at what it is. And then credit card processing. Some of you are a little lower than the industry average of 2.5. Some of you might be a bit higher. Depending upon if you use software that your credit card processing is attached to, it could be a bit more for the convenience of having everything be integrated. Either way, I want you to isolate that second to the bottom line, total cost of retail sales, 63.7%. That means that for every dollar you bring in, almost 64 cents goes to the four expenses that are directly related to your retail business. And that's leaving you 36.3% profit, which is why your retail profit is the biggest profit percentage and driver in your business. Because every other dollar that you bring in service is going to pay all the other bills. But here's what we do. We throw all the money in the bank and pay all the bills with it. We're not separating out our income streams like I've been espousing today. And we're not looking at our businesses separately like I'm teaching you right now. Right now, we're just looking at your retail apparatus separately. So because you're throwing all the money in the bank to pay all the bills, then what you're doing is you're not keeping your retail profit aside. You're using retail profit to pay bills that your service dollar should be paying for. I'll say that one again. You're throwing all the money in the bank, paying all the bills with it. So because you're doing that 36.3% profit, which should be in the bank being saved, isn't. It's being used to pay bills that your service dollar should be paying for. So let's say you're doing $1,000 a month in retail sales, and let's say you're managing your retail inventory, that first line at the top, the 50% budget to restock your shelves. Let's say you're hitting 50%. Most of us aren't because we're not tracking it. We're not looking at it. We're eyeballing what's on the shelves. We're buying emotionally as opposed to managing based on budget and purchasing based on trends, which is what you should be doing, which is what I teach. Either way. Let's say you're hitting that 50%. So if I'm selling 1,000 a month and I'm managing all these expenses, that means I got $363 left over in retail profit. 36.3% of 1,000 being 363 bucks. If I'm hitting that number, then that money should be going into savings, but it's not because we're using it to pay bills. So what that means is, in order for me to get that money back into the bank accounts to save it, I've got to grow my service sales by $363. And when I'm growing my service sales, there's cost attached to that because I got to pay the team to do the work. Or if I work on my own and I'm a solo, I got to cover my back bar and all that stuff. So a good rule until you get all the data organized is to take 363 and add another 75% onto that to cover bills. Because again, if I'm growing my sales, I got to pay the team to do the work. I got to pay to cover the back bar that's around it. I got to cover the payroll tax. There's credit card processing fee involved, all those different things. So I'm going to do the math for you. 363 times 75% is another $272. So if I need to get that $363 back into savings, my retail profit back into savings, I've got to grow my service sales to do it. So when I'm growing my service sales, that's why I'm going to add another $272 on top of it because I got to pay and cover cost. You guys, if I'm nerdy right now, remember this is being recorded. You can come back and listen to me do this again. Okay. So, and I'm getting nerdy on purpose because I want you to get the depth and the attention that you need to give your business so that you can fight to get that $363 back into savings and not just being gobbled up to cover costs. So, cost plus 363 is 635 bucks. So, you got to grow in this hypothetical scenario by $635. And when you grow your services only by that 635, now you can take that 363 profit and put it into savings. And boy, oh boy, you're going to feel way more in control than you ever have before in how you're running your business. So remember, $635. Now we're going to rev up those income producing engines. 635 sales growth goal divided by 4 weeks. Okay, 635 divided by 4, 158.75 divided by, let's say you're open 5 days a week for business, is 31.75 a day. Let's say you see 10 guests a day collectively, that's $3.17 more a guest. Heck, a price increase immediately could cover that. So what I want you to get is you're not far away from where you need to be. The key is getting organized and fighting to get that profit back in the bank. Because once we get that retail profit back into savings, now we're in business. Now what I want you to do is every 90 days, watch that retail profit grow in the bank, in the savings account. And then every 90 days, take half of it out and chunk down any debts you might have to pay off. Use it for more aggressive marketing. Use it for any leasehold improvements. Use it for better education, those things. Now you got your profit working for you. And the other half, keep in there for rainy day money in case a water heater breaks or a wash machine breaks down, or you have to do, you lose a staff member and you got to spend money doing more aggressive recruiting, whatever, you've got rainy day money there and you're not having to use a credit card and pay interest when the wash machine breaks. Now, or you need to buy a new computer. Now you have the money and you're going to watch that money build over time and build over time. And then you can sock it into an IRA every year and begin to plan and manage your future. Those of you that are solo, the last point I'm going to make, and then I'm going to pivot. I got 2 slides left, and then I'm going to answer some questions. So, if you're a solo, I want you obviously doing the same math I'm talking about and saving. So I want you actually pay yourself 10% every month and save that. Don't live off of it. The retail profit, save it. Don't live off of it. If you're a solo, how do you put that nest egg? Or for those of you that have a team, you want to train your team, you want to recommend to them. If you add on any services that you weren't scheduled for, that was money that you weren't planning for. So if you add on an additional $50 treatment and you get half of that, that's 25 bucks. Instead of just using that money, save it. So save your add-on money, save your tip income, and save your retail commission or that retail profit. Save those 3 things. Learn how to live off of what you get for service sales. So if you get 50% commission, learn how to live just off of that. Save the tips. Save the retail commissions or profit, and save any add-on money that wasn't scheduled, that you made a relevant recommendation that they said yes to. Begin to learn how to make your money work for you. Now, at the bottom of the screen, you see your back bar budget, you guys, 5 to 10% of service sales. So if I do $1,000 in service sales, I got $50 to $100 to replenish my back bar. Now, let me break down both retail and then back bar, and let me give you some of my top tips and tricks. Here we go. Retail profit. Order each week based on last week's volume. Instead of ordering a couple times a month, I want you to order weekly so that you have a better handle on it, so that you're more present to it, so that you're looking at it more efficiently, so that you're ordering based on budget each week. Again, if my budget is $500 to restock my shelves, because I did 1,000, my budget's 50%. I did 1,000 in sales last week. I have $500 to play with here. That's my budget. What do I need to replenish? What am I selling the most of so that I ensure I have those products on the shelf? So I'm now ordering based on sales volume and trends, and I'm becoming more analytical as opposed to, again, just spitballing, eyeballing, and looking at it and being emotional and reactive. Know your minimums and maximums. Adjust them as volume dictates. Every 90 days, do a hand count of what's on the shelves and calibrate that with your tracking systems and your software to make sure. Because sometimes, you'll take this product and you bought it as retail inventory, but you're going to grab it and it comes over here and now it's back bar. And if you don't calibrate that in your tracking systems, you have erroneous data that you're making decisions based off of. Analyze what are your top sellers? What are your mid-level sellers? What are those bottom feeders, those sluggish performers? Why? Why? No fire sales. Most of us buy a bunch of stuff, and if it's just sitting there collecting dust, we do a deep discount. I want that to be your last resort. Remember, we're fighting for that 36.3% profit. So if you just do a deep discount of 20% off to get rid of something, you're only getting 16.3% profit return. 36.3 minus 20, 16.3. We don't want that. That's last resort. So understand why something is selling or not and adjust course first. And if you're looking at that fourth bullet in parentheses, notice what I have here. Is it a cultural disconnect? Right? So those of you that have a team and they're not selling a particular SKU or a part of the line that you carry, what's the missing? Find out from them. Maybe there wasn't enough education when you brought that in. So what's happening there culturally that we need to shift perception? Sell through. One of the biggest things I see missing is that we are not making relevant recommendations at the end of treatments. We're not educating throughout the treatment. We're not recapping what we did and why this at-home care is so critical for you. Marketing. We're either throwing stuff together hoping it works, or we're not really doing something consistently. There may be a missing there. Is it placement and merchandising? Do I have it in a place that is really standing out so that the customer can see it and engage it? These are the typical things, reasons why something is selling or not selling in your business. Take the time to analyze it. And here's one thing we don't do, and it's the second to last bullet. Mark up a little bit more. So let's say you have 100% markup. You buy a SKU at $10, 100% markup means you're selling it for 20. So instead of doing that, take your top and mid-level performers and mark them up maybe 110%. So now instead of that SKU being $20 at retail, it's $22. Right? So customers aren't going to skip a beat. They're not even going to notice $2 to $4 in my experience, having done this over 750 times. And I want to remind you of that. Everything I'm teaching is not hypothetical or conceptual. I've done this over 750 times with businesses over the last 30 years. So what I'm teaching you works. The only thing that's going to get in the way is your own perceptions. So shift them, because your business, again, needs solvency. And if we have sluggish performers sitting on the shelves collecting dust, this little markup right here, bringing in a little extra cash flow with things that are selling on volume anyways, not only are we going to get that money long term because we marked it up, but that extra cash flow is going to mitigate those sluggish performers that are struggling to move. And we're basically giving ourselves more time to pump some life into them, to figure out how we can shift the thinking, how we can get better habits at sell-through. What could we do from a merchandising and marketing point of view to pump some more life into those SKUs and have them become better performing as opposed to being sluggish? And the last thing that you'll see at the bottom is get everybody involved. Generate ideas to manage ordering, education, sell-through, and marketing. Work with Alexandra's Aesthetics to get ideas. Work with somebody like myself. Get the team involved. Talk to peers. Those of you that are solo, you might know other solos. Reach out to them and say, man, I'm really struggling to move this part of my brand. How are you doing with it? Do you struggle? Are you kicking butt with it? What are you doing differently? The more we get collaborative, the better chance of getting ideas quicker, faster, and really growing. All right, let's look at our back bar. Order each week based on last week's sales volume. Again, I want you looking at it weekly. What treatments are we doing more of and why? Where do we want to be growing and why in the coming months? As we go into summer, do you have specific treatments that you want to position where you're going to need to up your ordering from a back bar perspective? So, are you analyzing these types of things and looking at your trends? So, when you're looking at it weekly, again, you got a better handle on it. Monitor waste. If over mixing is happening in the back room, instead of that going down the drain in the sink, have it go into a little bucket that's like a milliliter bucket that's managing. And if it gets to a certain level, then guess what? You don't get your retail commission that week because don't waste my money, right? Manage the formulations based on what our manufacturers are teaching us. So those little things make a difference. Promotions, if I'm over budget, remember my budget's 5 to 10% of service sales. If I'm on that higher end or above that 10% threshold, promotions are a quick hit way that we can increase the services that we're doing so that we can lower that back bar percentage. We can move through that back bar stock because we're doing more treatments. But marketing, while it's critical, is what I just said. It's quick hit. It's a Band-Aid on something that needs surgery. The surgery is you taking the time to analyze everything, get it organized, look at your percentages, look at where you're doing more treatments, where you want to be growing your treatment business, and really ordering based on trends as opposed to just throwing things together, everybody. Add-ons. This is the big key. Over time, working with the team to identify potential treatment clients and walk through consultation strategies. Go back, everybody, to the very first webinar. If you weren't with us there 2 months ago, go back and watch that webinar. I brought on 3 or 4 of my clients that I currently coach, and they share their stories on about how I teach them to do what I call the booking game, which is focusing on planning every single day with our guests so that we're making relevant add-ons that help that guest get what they need, but also help you grow and drive cash flow and be more profitable and manage this back bar. And then finally, enforce proper pricing. So, if the treatment says $100 on the menu, but oh, you love that loyal client and she just complained about having to get 4 new tires, poor thing, so then you're going to discount it. Instead of 100, you charge her 80. We can't be doing that because it kills our back bar and it takes money out of our pocket. And if you're discounting people like that, they're going to notice that over time. And ultimately, if you feel bad for somebody because they had to get 4 new tires, look at what the tires are attached to. Oh, a Porsche, an SUV, a Range Rover. What type of purse are they walking in with, right? What's that handbag? It's got an L and a V on it, but we're worried about them spending money and oh no, so we discount. Enforce proper pricing so that your business model works financially, everybody. So a couple of things I'm going to point out is how I can help. And then I'm going to open it up to a couple of questions. And I know we kind of started a few minutes behind because we had some technical difficulties with me getting on this morning. So I'll take a minute. I'm going to make some recommendations. I'm going to open it up to questions, and then it'll be a wrap today. So how do we support in my company? I've got 2 books. They include spreadsheets and templates. One is Financial Fitness. My other book is Interdependent Leadership, Creating a Salon and Spa Culture of Inclusive Growth. It's one thing to be data-driven. You then have to learn how to communicate and convey things that the data is telling you to get people involved. And again, if you work for yourself, I want to remind you that you're not alone. You do have peers. You have Alexander's Aesthetics. You have sales consultants and people that you should be collaborating with to help you grow. I do webinar series. I do a webinar series for owners. I do webinar series for independent technicians. You can find that stuff on my website. At the very bottom left of the screen, you can see stephengomez.net. That's my website. Go there. You can find my books. You can find my webinar series. I also have a 2-day finance workshop that we do. I'll be doing one later in the summer where literally I analyze your cash flow for you. I write you an analysis and recommendations report, and then I teach you how to get financially organized over 2 days. Bottom right of the screen, that's my Instagram handle. Please follow me. I'll follow you back so we can stay connected. But here's what I'm offering to those of you that are here with me live and anybody that watches this recording. is I'm committed to give you a financial analysis, which will include my financial fitness ebook and all of my 20 industry specific spreadsheets that come with that book, plus a 30-minute consultation about it based on what you learned today. And that's $250. The book, when you go to my website, it's around $199-ish. So I'm giving you the book plus a half hour of my time. All you got to do is email me if you're interested in that. My email, and I'll give you my personal email because I'm having an issue with my company email right now. So I'll give you my personal one. It's S as in Steve, T as in Tom, P as in Paul, H as in Henry, N as in Nancy. My last name, Gomez, Gomez, at yahoo.com. STPHN Gomez at yahoo.com. So any of you that were here with me today, if you're interested in having me jam with you, take a look at where you are, get a little bit more specific about your business, and also share a bit more about how I can help you, please let me know. I'm here to help. Last thing I want to get into is any questions that you have for me. Here's your time now to type them in, and I'd be more than happy to take a minute and answer some of them for you. If you don't have any questions, and man, if I've done a good job and I've been thorough, I would really love for you to say, this rocked, love what we did today. So definitely type in and give me some love. Ooh, Katie, thank you. I've got some questions here. But while I'm about to answer her questions, go on and toss some acknowledgments at my way. This hardworking coach loves the positivity. Based on this retail inventory profit calculator model, do you always advise to separate provider's retail commission from service commission rather than commission off of total sales? Yeah, so your service commission, let's say it's 40%. That's what I get paid to do the services. And then the retail commission, let's say that's 10%. I'm getting that off of retail. And yes, they should be separated because they're different things. So don't just lump it all together. There should be incentive for me as a service provider to be planning my day and facilitating to my guest what services I know to be the optimum for them. And again, I teach this in that first webinar we did 2 months back. So go on Alexander's Aesthetic, and I'll let Marnie and Farhana tell you where it's located on their website. They're the experts there, not me. I just know it's somewhere over there for you to find. Maybe it's a YouTube channel, something like that. I forget. But either way, go back and watch me teach it. But I'll summarize it by saying this. When I've got you coming in for a basic facial, but I know that you could benefit from microneedling, for example, or from PRP injections, or whatever it might be, I'm going to make that recommendation. When I make that recommendation, that $150 facial plus the microneedling now becomes $500, let's say. So by separating that out, I now done $500. And if I'm getting 40% of that, that's like, and let me do the math with my calculator. 500 times 40% is $200 that I'm going to make now, as opposed to be making $65. I made $200. So yes, that needs to be separated out from a service point of view. And then the retail apparatus, the at-home care, if I'm doing a signature facial and now adding on microneedling, what's the at-home care that you're going to need? What's the different retail you're going to need? And let's say I recommend 4 relevant products and you say yes to 2 of them, and those 2 are $80 and I get 10% of that, that's $8 more on top of that. Separate everything out, because your goal is to teach your team to be very specific in making plans for each guest from a treatment point of view and from an at-home care point of view. And when you're separating out the monies, you can then help them track what they're doing, how it's going, so you can see if they're effective in making relevant recommendations, or are more guests just coming in and doing what they were scheduled for, which means my consultation is not hitting the mark. I'm just doing what's on the books. So separate all that out, track it, and then separate it all out as well so that you can show people a pathway to make more money for themselves. Thank you for that question, Katie. That was an excellent, excellent question. And you're welcome. Any other questions? I've got another minute or two. I have no problem answering stuff. If not, you guys, email me. Like I said, I'm offering you my time. Typically, an hour of my time starts at 500 an hour. So I'm offering you 30 minutes of my time plus my book for 250. I really invite you guys to jam with me. I'm not attached to that, but I'm committed that you get the help that you need. Certainly go back and watch my first two webinars with Alexander's Aesthetics. Come back and listen to this one again. Most importantly, I appreciate that you were here with me today. So if there's no other questions, okay,
Steve, I
awesome.
actually have a question that was asked prior to starting this webinar.
Yeah, yeah. Who's
So,
that?
it says here, I'm a solo esthetician. Should I be setting aside money monthly or quarterly for taxes? And if so, what percentage do you recommend?
Yes, you should. And it's based on the tax bracket that you're going to be in. You're welcome, Kashmir. Um, based on the amount of money that you bring in, there's different tax brackets, and you can literally Google 2025 tax brackets and you'll see, so it's like 100,000 and less is the starting tax bracket. And then between 100,000 and 150,000 is the next percentage, 150 and above is the next percentage. So go look at what the percentage is based on the amount of money that you're bringing in. Now, it's not just the amount of money you're bringing in, it's after expense, which is why you need to get organized financially, track your expenses, take those expenses out because you're going to be taxed on what's left after expense. So let's say you're generating 150,000, but you're spending 50,000 a year to run your business. So that puts you in the first tax bracket, that first percentage, because you're the 100,000 and below, you would be at 20%. If you're 150 and above, you're at 22%, and so on. So whatever that percentage is, that's what you want to sock away. So after you pay all your bills and you got all the money left over, immediately take 22% of that, if that's your percentage, and put that into savings. That's how you would want to manage it. So I would say if you don't even have that P&L, or if you do and it's not an industry specific, and if you're not financially organized to the way that I taught you today, that's your journey. The next steps over the next 3 months is to get organized, get this information, make these investments, reach out to somebody like me. I'll help you get organized. So then you can start seeing your data and your trends, and you can predict based on what your sales goals are, and you can predict based on your average expenses how much is going to be left over and what tax bracket you're going to land in. And then you can start saving that money and setting it aside. So then you're managing, as opposed to be at tax time not have enough, and then now you owe the IRS and you're on a payment plan and their interest is just a killer. We don't want to be in that position. So really great question there. If there's no other questions, I'm going to put a bow on this by saying thank you so very much for being with us today. We're committed to support you and help you. And I just want to remind you, there's nothing more important for you than taking the time to invest in your business and spend time working on it, as opposed to just being busy working in it. Appreciate all of you. Have a great rest of your week. Be productive. Go back and listen to this webinar and those first two, and we'll see you on the other side. Marnie and Farhana will tell you where you can find these recordings. Take it away, team. Take care, everybody. Much love.
Thank you
Great.
so
Thank
much,
you, Steve.
Steve. We appreciate it so
Yep.
much. Thank you all for joining us today. Like Steve said, we do have his previous webinars on our website already. So if you go to alexanders-aesthetics.com, you'll get to our homepage. You click the education link. I'm doing it as I'm talking. And then you're going to go to past recorded webinars. And then from there, and actually on that page, you could see all of our upcoming education, whether it's in-person webinars or the past recorded ones. And then you're going to go to business success webinars, which is going to take you to our YouTube page. And from there, you'll see all of Steve's previous videos, which are awesome. Definitely take the time to watch them. They're really, really informative, just like today's was. And then before you all go, we do have a quick survey at the end of this, just to if you guys could fill it out to help us improve and get some topics that you guys are looking for, we appreciate you guys doing that. And then lastly, if you guys are, excuse me, interested in more education or professional only products or how Alexanders can support estheticians like you could visit us on our website or follow us on our Instagram, and definitely follow Steve on his Instagram as well. We appreciate it. And with that, thank you guys for spending your Monday morning with us. We hope you all have a wonderful week. All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.